How's it going, Critter Family? Hope you all are doing well. Today we're going over a suggested video, by Joel Beckman, puppy jumping and nipping solutions. Specifically, they were asking for puppy biting and Joel Beckman, so this is the #1 video. This is 5 years old, this video is, so let's just jump right into it.
Jade is a 3-month-old Cane Corso. They jump.
Very pretty color for a Cane Corso.
All puppies this age jump, and all of them nip. And you guys, look at these teeth.
It's unfortunate that she had her ears done and her tail done. Cane Corsos look beautiful with their long tail and their floppy ears. But that's not none of his doing, obviously, and not necessarily any of the doing of the owners. A lot of times, by the time the people are able to adopt the dog, they already have their ears cropped and their tails docked.
Okay? Those are little needle teeth. Right? If you have kids and the dog jumps up and gets the kid like that, it can be very dangerous. It gets them in the ear, very dangerous. There's two main methods.
That doesn't excuse you probably using an aggressive, unnecessary technique to teach your puppy not to jump and bite. We'll go over his video, and then I will go over a video that I have about teaching a 6-week-old puppy not to jump and bite.
I like to use with puppies, and whenever you're working with a puppy, you don't want to be too harsh. Okay?
No duh.
As the dog gets older, you can up it a little bit. In the same way with young kids or babies, you're not going to be harsh. But as they get to be teenagers, you can have a little more. Come on, Jade. All right. So
that's just an excuse.
Makes sense? So here, we're going to do jumping right now. Jade, we're going to do the turnaround method. So we're going to make a noise. I like to say ouch. You can say no, you can say whatever you want. Then you're going to take your attention away from the dog. It's called negative punishment. You're taking away attention when the dog jumps. And if they're jumping on you, what do they want? They want attention, right? Then when the dog sits or isn't jumping, you're going to give them attention. Okay? So that's one of the ways to do with jumping. And by the way, jumping and nipping are almost the same thing, right? They're both kind of attention-seeking behaviors. They often go together, they jump and nip, so it's the same method for both, but there's a little something added when you're working with nipping. Okay, so we have Jade here. Jade, hi.
Well, you can also give the puppy something to do. A lot of times they're like kids when they start to fiddle around and they're telling you, hey, I'm bored, I need something to do. You're not giving me something to do, so I'm going to chew on you. I'm going to jump on you, I'm going to chew on you, all that, all that good stuff. So I would just give them something to do. I would give them a toy. I wouldn't just ignore them. I mean, that's good. It's good advice. I'm surprised that he would just say, ouch. I don't ever really bother with that. I don't bother with the no reward marker. I would just turn my side. And if they're really still going to chew on me, which chances are they're going to chew on me, then I would give them a toy, or I would step behind a baby gate, or I would tether them, or put them in a playpen so I can get away from them. And when I can come close to them and they don't bite and chew on me, then I can reward them. I can pet them. I can give them attention, what they want. And if they start chewing on me again, I can step away, but they can't follow me.
Jade, hi, you're such a nice doggy. You're such a good doggy. So if the dog ever does that right there, came up and sat, you're going to drop down and you're going to give your dog love for being such an awesome dog. Now,
or you can also give them a toy, toss a toy for them, or give them a piece of their kibble as they're, working for a little bit of their regular feeding. So you can give them, they can work for some of their food. They don't have to work for all of their food in my book. I don't believe in making your dog, work for every single ounce of kibble they're fed or food they're fed. You can give them a treat too, or you can give them loving. There's a bunch of different options.
Sometimes what they'll do is then at this point,
So that was unnecessary. I would have just stood up.
Remember that where I said yelp or say no? I actually say I said and I turned my attention away. So all the love Jade was getting was removed the moment she jumped on me. Okay, now I'm going to go back to it.
Now this is something where you might be putting too much attention on the dog, too much pressure, as I always like to call it, where you're putting too much touching and too much attention on her, stimulating her too much to where she's going to want to nibble and bite. That's why loving and all that we call loving and all that petting isn't necessarily a reward for a dog. But using a piece of kibble, tossing a piece of kibble, dropping it, or giving it and feeding it by the hand, that can be a little bit more rewarding, and they're learning to have a soft mouth. They're not learning to jump. They're not learning to bite. And you're still able to reward them with something that's probably more rewarding to them than you petting them. Because by you petting them, really what you're doing is making them, you're teaching them they have to be patient. Otherwise, all that attention goes away. And of course, they want attention. Doesn't mean they want attention in the form of petting. They probably want attention in the form of playing. But, of course, there's some dogs that really enjoy petting. I had a Shiba. He didn't care about petting. Especially as a baby, he would start chewing on me. So I would give him a toy because that's what he wanted over petting.
So if there's a jump or a nip, I'm going to mark it. And then I stood up and took my attention away. Let's see if it helps. Hi, Jade. We'll do this all day. Now, I don't mind that as much. That was not quite a jump at the face. It's not as bad. So I'm just going to push her down, right? She kind of climbed up me. It's not the same behavior. It's not as quote unquote bad as just a leap at the face, right?
So he's holding her by the collar. He can, which I don't have a problem with teaching a puppy, not holding by the collar. I don't like that, but I don't have a problem teaching a puppy to accept handling around the collar, but he's holding her down, which can make her want to nibble and bite him. So he's setting her up for failure without even realizing it.
So, hi Jade. We just got this dog, by the way.
And he puts his face...
Kind of a halfway jump right there.
Well, he put his face too close to her face, so he's going to cause her to want to jump. You have to be aware of what you're doing, which is going to cause the dog to give you a reaction or a response to whatever you're doing. And if this puppy is here for, apparently for a board and train, I'm assuming that's what he means when he said that she just got here, then that's, shame on the owners for leaving their puppy to, anybody for a board and train to train the puppy for them. They need to learn how to train the animal themselves. And if they're going to take their puppy to someone to start a puppy, I don't have a problem with somebody who's ethical, doing a puppy start, but making sure that the owners do their homework and the owners do their work and the puppy is not trained for them. And by the time that the owners get there, that, the puppy's perfect. I don't have a problem with someone who ethically trains and says, hey, you're going to have to still put in a lot of work. I'm not going to train this puppy and then just turn around and let you undo all that training. You're going to do the work for it. But that's beside the point. If you get your face too close to your puppy, chances are you're going to make them want to jump because your face is the business end, which is what they want. They want your face. They want to lick on you and they want to nibble on you just like they nibble on other puppies and other dogs and any other living creature.
You gotta, be more severe when the behavior is bad.
He's still holding by the collar.
Normal little puppy stuff. Don't worry too much about it. All right. So I'm going to sit on the ground, Jade. Jade.
I would just let her come to me. I'm not going to necessarily continue to call her over to set her up for failure.
Jade. All right. Most people want to allow this to happen, right? They want the dog to be able to come into their lap.
Oh, little baby.
Nipping. So what if most people want this? Now, what if at some point there was a bite where she really got my chin? Like not super hard, but enough to hurt, right? You could basically say or no, and then you could simply get up and leave the dog. So everything right now is fine. What if she were to just launch herself at my face?
I would stand up and I wouldn't be on the floor.
Is my face acceptable? Yes. You got to choose your battles. Punish the things that need to be punished.
No, I don't think you need to punish the things that need to be punished because they are all natural for the dog. So you need to change what you're doing to prevent the puppy from learning those behaviors that you do not like, which are still natural for the puppy. It's natural for them to want to jump up and lick on you and nibble on you and try to bite. And they explore the world with their mouth very much like a toddler does. A very young kid. Puppies are the same way. So it's important to prevent these things from happening. You puppy proof yourself, you puppy proof the house, just like you would child proof, a place where you're not going to let your kid go up and stick a fork in the wall socket and teach them, that's what, electricity feels like. It's bad. So we punish it. I mean, you can prevent that.
The other stuff go and understand puppies will do things, okay?
Yeah, they're puppies.
Are going to jump more. They're going to nip. Doesn't mean we accept it, but it's going to happen, okay? You can't really stop it from happening. If you find yourself constantly going, turning away, every time she jumps. Remember, every time the dog sits, you're going to drop down.
Very good.
Let's say they just they're just nipping all the time. You have to satiate their mouth, okay? I'm gonna accept this because I don't mind this, right? The positive. It's not really a jump in there. So this is good to do with your dog. People ask me all the time whether they should play tug of war with their dog. I'm a big fan of tug of war. You got to be careful with these little puppy teeth, right? You can't pull too hard on this thing, but this is gonna.
As well as when you have an adult dog, you want to be careful to support the head and neck so they don't end up ripping or tearing something in their body, they don't end up pulling a muscle or ripping a nerve or something, or hurting their vertebrae. Or something. So be careful when you are tugging. There is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, or a more dangerous way to do it. But especially with puppies. And a cool fact, that puppy teeth are meant to hurt more, but cause less damage. Surprisingly, I know that they hurt and they do cause damage, but they're meant to hurt more, but they cause less damage than adult teeth, which are, hurt less, but they cause more damage. So cool, little survival instinct for these little puppies. Or survival tool for them.
Because essentially, this is what they're trying to do when they're nipping a dress. I get a lot of calls about little kids, the 8-year-old is wearing a dress and running through the house. Well,
and the kid needs to learn not to run through the house when you have a puppy, or you need to learn to separate the children, and the puppy and manage that situation. You don't need to punish the puppy.
Essentially this, you got to satiate it. You got to give them the stuff to
An
do
outlet.
This with. Okay? So that they don't do it on the 8-year-old's dress.
I agree.
You should be doing this with your puppy. Mild game of tug of war, not pulling too hard. Oh, you want to train a quick drop it? We'll do it super quick. Okay? Drop it. We'll just throw this in here because it is associated with tug of war. Hide the treats.
She already dropped it, so you could have rewarded there.
Oh, good. Ready? Here we go. Ready? Tug of war. Tug of war. Drop it. Beautiful. Did you see that? Okay.
Very good.
I presented the hand with a treat in it. I said, drop it. She smelled the treat. She said, well, I want that treat more than I want this thing. Let go. And, okay, now we're going to start again. Problem is, she's all into the treats now. But did you see that? That's how you train and drop it. And then eventually, no treat. They just have something in their mouth and you say, drop it. So no treat, but the hand signal is drop it. Okay.
After several repetitions, you want to make sure that you really repeat that action before you expect your dog to drop anything without something being given to them in return.
Look, let's see if we can do it again. Oh yeah. Now she's like, I want that treat. I want that treat. Jade.
That's why it's helpful to use her regular kibble, so it's not so high of a value that she's going to be too focused on the treat versus whatever you're trying to teach her.
Let's see. Drop it. Drop it. Yes. Oh, who cares, right? It's her first time ever doing a drop it. I'll say it multiple times.
I wouldn't say it multiple times. I would say it once and then wait for them to drop it, and then I would reward. I'm actually, pleasantly surprised this is not as aggressive as I thought it was going to be.
Okay, guys, so jumping, negative punishment, where you're taking away your attention, marking the behavior, taking away your attention when they jump.
I don't have a problem with turning around, but I don't say anything. I'm just quiet and I turn around. I don't say ouch. I don't try to yelp. I don't say ah. I don't say no. I just get up and turn around.
Main way to teach not to jump with a puppy. It's not my main way when they're an adult, but it's definitely...
It's the same way for me when they're an adult as when they're a puppy.
My main way when they're a puppy. Nipping, similar method, okay? But then add this into the mix on the nipping to satiate that bite mechanism, that bite behavior that they have, and that as their teeth come in, they need this stuff. All right?
Okay, so that was his video. Let's take a look at my video, or parts of my video, real quick. Okay, so here's my video. Puppy biting and how to deal with it. 7-week-old foster puppy. So this was Iago. I miss this little boy. He was my first ever puppy foster. And the first foster I had, I believe, after Adonis had passed. And I think after that I got kittens. And I started fostering kittens, which were so much different. But Hermes was still here, and that's why I had this little baby gate up. And this is management to keep him from getting to Hermes food.
Family, I hope you all are doing well. I wanted to give you a little update on this little guy. This is Iago. He is as of Sunday, 7 weeks old. He'll be staying with me until next Sunday. I believe the 15th.
He goes to chew on me.
Um,
I give him his stick.
when he's 8 weeks old, and he will be old enough and ready to be put up for adoption. Legally, you cannot adopt an animal out younger than 8 weeks old.
He goes to
So
go
after
for the
he gets his
hand
first
because petting will make him want to chew on
shots-
the hand.
Ow, ow, ow. Okay.
So I wasn't saying that to stop him. I was saying that instinctively because it hurt.
So I've been dealing with this little monster. He's a very good boy.
He
but I
is a
thought I'd
good
give you
boy.
some
I miss
tips
him.
What I've learned
He was going to grow up to be like 100-pound dog. He was huge.
since having a puppy again after 12 years of not having one since.
When I don't pay attention, he goes to chew on me.
Is very important. Having a lot of patience. He's 7 weeks old, so he is entering the first major fear imprint stage. So he's very sensitive. He's a sensitive little guy. They say husky mix. So I would assume that maybe he has some shepherd in there as well.
So that's my video here. If you want to see more of it, then you can check it out here. I will also have it up in the cards up here, or annotations or whatever they call them. I'll have all of that up there for y'all. So that's the difference between Beckman's video and my video. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that Beckman was not nearly as aggressive as I thought he would have been. So that's nice. But anywho, hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope you got something from it. Please go say hi to your little critters. Give them some kind of loving they appreciate. Give them some loving for me. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.